So I touched on that communication is important to make sure that the person on the receiving end is understanding what you're saying. So I'm going to kind of contextualize this for managers, trying to explain to their team how they want something done, and how to try to make sure that what they say is understood. I think I've touched on a little bit that most of the time, the person on the receiving end of the communication, if they don't understand what you're saying, they're too afraid to ask a question. They're too afraid to ask you to clarify because they feel dumb. They feel like that they're supposed to know what you're talking about. They're supposed to understand that the lingo that you're using. And if they ask something, you're going to get mad and yell at them. You're going to laugh at them, make fun of them. So, on the one hand, make sure that how you're describing and explaining something is simple enough for them to understand, depending on their level of knowledge. And then two, you have to understand that they're probably not going to ask you questions even if they don't understand. So you have to, like we've talked about, read those nonverbal cues. And when they're just, if they're going, yeah, yep, get it, yep, got it, yep, chances are they don't. If they're giving you that kind of communication and feedback, chances are they don't have it. Ask a few questions as if like, okay, so what are you going to do first? And if this comes up, how are you going to handle that? And if they're looking at you like deer in the headlights, like, then just re-explain. Just say, okay, well, like I said, this is what I meant, and then kind of show. Maybe they might not understand 100% when you're talking to them, but you start to show them, they're like, okay, now I get it. Now I've got it, and you can almost always hear, see, and feel that kind of like, like when they finally do understand it, there's the big like, oh yeah, okay, now I didn't understand what you meant before, but I didn't want to say anything, like that always happens, always. So you just have to be realistic and understand that most of the time, the first time you communicate something, the person on the other end of the conversation is not going to understand exactly what you meant. And if you're too aloof or in a hurry, which I tend to be, you're going to move on and they're not going to have understood what they said, and they don't want to bother you. They don't want to slow you down. So they're just going to try their best even though they have no idea what you wanted. So managers, please make sure that you're articulating well, know your audience to make sure that they're understanding your lingo and your choice of words. And then you just got to double check. You got to ask some questions. It doesn't hurt to just stand there and watch. If it's an actual physical test that they're going to do, be like, okay, go ahead and start, and I'm just going to watch and make sure you're doing it right. That, in my opinion, that's not micromanaging. That's not babying somebody. The person on the other end shouldn't feel bad about that. If they do, too bad. I'm not going to stand there and watch you do it for 8 hours, but I'm going to watch you do the first one. Because I want to make sure that you understand what I meant. And that's okay. You're doing them a service by doing that. Because they're not going to get 6 hours into something and you're say, you're doing that totally wrong. Why are you doing it that way? You didn't understand what I was saying. Gosh, you're an idiot. What are you doing? All you'll do is frustrate them, upset them. You're going to be frustrated. So there's no reason, there's no good reason to hurry through communicating with somebody and be like, well, if they didn't understand it, that's their fault, and I'll yell at them for it later. Like, that's just a waste of everybody's time.